Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So excited to be here on our conscious eating, conscious living, alchemy Sunday morning chat. And you know what? You are also the alchemists. We all are. We are these beautiful, divine, magnificent beings of love and light. And yeah, so thank you. It's good to have you all here. And I'm in Tsawwassen, British Columbia, and today some areas are getting snow, which is the first time for the season, and that's all good. And everybody just take a deep breath in and just connect with that beautiful, loving energy of the earth, the sun, and just breathe that in and just feel the connection. Feel the connection to your food. I was reading this week and how food is memory. This is from some of the Ayurvedic teachings, um, even before Chinese medicine was known, and 1500 BC. Anyway, so just when you're picking up that food, just feel the earth, feel its essence, and just give gratitude. Anyway, I'm glad to have you all here. A little mixed bag this morning, which is kind of part of who I am. I wrote a poem uh, about the eclectic. I am this eclectic being because I just love taking little bits, learning, continually learning different things, and I know many of you are too. So let's get started with our day with this. And this is actually done on YouTube. So we'll see how this goes. This is the first time. And so we're thinking about our conscious eating and our conscious living. How are we living consciously? And how are we present to what we buy, what we eat? And how to also kind of look at that, the de-stressing aspect of our lives. There we go. Yeah, just trying to get some of that light off the top of my head. There we go. So, I'm going to start with, first of all, a type of sort of meditation. And those of you who walk in forests understand that peacefulness that you get when when you walk in the forest and you just feel the trees and you can smell the aroma, whether it's the pine or the fir or whatever the forest is for you and wherever you are around the world. And there's that nurturing that is going on with your body. Your feet are walking on the soil of the earth, and you're just breathing all that fresh air. And forests, part of that reason for that calming is that there's a lot more oxygen. And when you think about how trees breathe in our carbon dioxide and they breathe out oxygen. And there's more trees, and we're just breathing all of that in and just getting all that beautiful nurturing and nourishing. So I'm going to do a little bit of reading this morning. And first thing is this forest bathing. It's called Shimrin Yoku. And apparently Dr. Jing Li, who heads to a leafy park near the Nippon Medical School in Tokyo where he works. And it's not just a pleasant place to eat his lunch. He believes that the time spent under the tree's canopy is actually a critical factor in the fight against diseases. Not just relaxing, but actually helping heal our bodies of the mind, diseases of the mind and the body. And once a month, Lee spends 3 days in the forest near Tokyo. using all five senses to connect with the environment and to clear his mind. This practice of Shinrin Yoku, literally called forest bath, has the power to counter illnesses, including cancer, strokes, gastric ulcers, depression, anxiety, and stress, according to Dr. Lee. And he says it boosts the immune system, lowers blood pressure, and aids sleep. And soon it would be apparently prescribed by some British doctors. And a little quote from Thich Nhat Hanh. The miracle is not to walk on water. The miracle is to walk on the green earth, dwelling deeply in the present moment and feeling truly alive. Just breathe that in. And from me, take a moment today. Create that presence with the earth, with a flower, the clouds, a plant in your home, and appreciate its presence, and your heart will sing. Now, a couple of little actions, movement from my Rise and Shine Jumpstart Your Day. One of them is palming, which has been around for a long time. And basically, it's just taking your hands and you can close your eyes and you just cover your hands. And some people who do it, they rest their elbow on something. So there's your upper body is just totally relaxed. And you just breathe in to that darkness. And if you can, you cover all the little close up, all the little pockets of light popping in. And you just breathe in and out. And you do that for a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and some people even do it for 10. So it's like a meditation, but it's calming the body. And also that assists with your eye health, because you've got your palms and you've got this loving energy coming from your palms. And if you set that intention and just give gratitude for your eyes and all that they can see for you, bringing in nature, bringing in colors, and the people around you, just being able to see them. It's kind of a little miracle in itself. So that's one activity. And the other one is just putting your hands together. It's like putting your hands in prayer position. And you're actually pushing down and pushing sort of resistance with your fingers. So the more you push down, and as I push my fingers towards each other, your wrists are actually coming apart. And then just focus on all those fingers. And that's one wrist activity, because I know a lot of us are spending more time on the computer. So the other one, you're holding your hand back and just stretching your fingers. And then reversing the other way. And some of you may feel that pull in there. Some people get carpal tunnel, and that's where the ligaments are pressing against the nerve. And when I was a student nurse, one of my first surgeries was watching a plastic surgeon do carpal tunnel surgery. And it was just fascinating the way they separated. I can't even remember all the details now, but I was just so fascinated, sort of assisting this doctor, repairing the damage done by what we're now experiencing more with all the work on the computers. And we need to remember to stretch our wrists and our forearms. And then, of course, The body kind of likes you to do both sides. So we'll do that. So both sides, pushing toward your fingers towards you and just loving them and then switching it around. Just feeling that beautiful stretch, and you just take a deep breath in and out. And when you do it with total presence, that's like a meditation in itself. So meditation doesn't have to be sitting and just oming on the floor. It's just being present to what you're doing. So, and you go back and forth this way, lots of things that you can kind of play with and keep those wrists flexible because we want that flexibility. And so that's for the a little bit of quieting and the wrist movement. And why do we need to worry about stress? Well, it causes so many issues in our body. And it's a major cause of dis-ease when the body is out of balance. And it throws our body out of balance. It affects our digestion and it affects our mood, how we relate to our families, and how we perform at work, and how we can just enjoy our own life. So, doing that deep breathing, the ribs, breathing out, and then breathing in. And actually, that breath has the effect, it works with the vagus nerve and it activates specific neurons that somehow detect blood pressure. And these neurons signal to the vagus nerve that the blood pressure is becoming too high, and the vagus nerve responds by lowering your heart rate. And meditating is another great way to increase the parasympathetic activity, your restful state. Your body can't be in both. So when you're breathing in, the parasympathetic is just working at relaxing the body. There's lots of tools and practices available. I've got a few in my Rise and Shine Jumpstart Your Day that you can have a look at. And the other thing with that whole stress thing, it's the leaky gut and the inflammation that's actually happening in your whole digestive system, your the small intestine, the large intestine, and so that when there's inflammation inside the gut, you've got the cell wall, the lining is only one cell thick. And when you eat inflammatory foods, then that whole defensive system breaks down. And then you get blood, the little tiny, partially digested food particles get there's little channels go through, and it's like a sieve. And these particles that don't belong in your bloodstream, that's where they end up. And that's where the term leaky gut comes from. And it comes from the inflammation and from the foods that you're eating. And stress affects that as well. Because we're one beautiful, complete package, and we're not separate. The systems aren't separate; they're all talking to one another. Like the vagus nerve is just, it's there from the top of your head down your body. It's amazing. And so, how can we reduce some of that inflammation in our gut? And that's by reducing the inflammatory foods. And you've got processed foods are big, animal products are another one, and the saturated and the trans fats. So look at your labels. Be a really good consumer. Be that conscious living consumer. Read your labels. What's inside? Is it organic? If it's corn, check for organic. If it's soy, organic. And how much sugar is in there. So look at those kinds of things. And what kind of diseases are these pro-inflammatory foods associated with? Let's see. Higher risk of cardiovascular disease, impaired memory in the elderly and frailty, worsening mental health, higher rates of depression, anxiety, impaired well-being. And I know a woman I spoke to a month ago or so, she suffered from depression, severe depression, from the age of 13. And when she went to a plant-based food, what she noticed was that depression disappeared. So, and that's a beautiful example of the gut inflammation affecting our mental capacities. All right. So, and some cancers, as well as sort of kidney and bladder issues. So, obesity, it has an effect on the obesity. And there was one more thing before we finish, and this part of this conscious living that has been part of my life for a long time. And I was so grateful that in Metro Vancouver, they and all the cities within Metro Vancouver are all sort of striving to reduce the waste. Metro Vancouver has a zero waste policy. We've got a long way to go because I'm holding up this. This is something, it's that beautiful envelope that you get in the mail, and it's got whatever book or little item that you've ordered, and it does not go into our recycling system because it's paper lined with plastic. And the station where I take my stuff, they won't accept it. So what I do is, I'm one of those weirdos. I've used some of it as a mulch in my garden, and I'm just sort of observing to see how it breaks down over the winter. At this point, I can still see the whole package, and I'm hoping that the rain and the weather will maybe help separate it. And what I've discovered with some of the packaging, you can actually separate the plastic. And this is where you can practice your patience, a little bit of mindfulness, and just, okay, let's see where I can separate. And you just pull it apart slowly, and it does come. And I've found that sometimes it's really hard to get the plastic off. So the plastic that I've got here, that I can put into my soft plastics. And then the paper, because now I can rip it. You've got to be able to rip the paper without it, without that sort of that pull, because then because the next other package I've got has got that, you can't, if you rip, paper rips, and you can hear it. And that goes into my paper recycling. So have fun with your envelopes and separate them, because it's a little step. And while you're watching TV, just sit there and just I'll start along the edges and just pull and pull and pull. And then the other one is these bags that have the little plastic window in them. And some of the packaging, I've been able to soak in water and separate them. This one, I cannot. I've soaked a piece of paper with the plastic for 24 hours, and it's still not separating. So I'm going, whoa, that's some glue that they're using. And I buy this product because it's locally made in British Columbia. And I've had a conversation with them, and it's the way the package comes. There's got something to do with sort of food safe and that kind of thing. And so I was just able to discover that on the edge, there was a little piece of plastic. So I've been just slowly working away, peeling off this plastic off the paper. And so and some of it comes off really easily, and then you come to a section that, then you kind of have to go back to the edge and start pulling it off. And so that's sort of another example, because this one, when you get a plastic edge, so when you pull at the plastic and the paper, there's a bit of a pull, and then when you look at it closely, you can see that there's that little piece of plastic that's embedded in the paper. And some packaging, some of the tea bags, that plastic is between the two levels of paper. So when you look at some tea bags, and the paper ones are obvious, but the ones that are a little dubious, and you just slowly pull it apart, and you're going, if it doesn't look like paper, then there's some plastic in it. And some of it you cannot separate, and that has to go in the garbage. So just be aware as part of that conscious living awareness. And when you become aware, you've got more choices to make. And so this one, I will, when I'm sitting, maybe watching a bit of TV, which I do at times, just sit there and practice and just pull the paper. And the other thing, the other plastic window that you often get is in Kleenex boxes. And that piece is just the size of the hole. Make sure you pull that piece of plastic off your Kleenex box. The box goes into paper. And if the plastic has a bit of paper on it, then just put it in the garbage. And so that's the little activity for helping the earth, helping us. Remember, the earth doesn't need saving. It's humanity. We need to save ourselves from ourselves. And remember, we are these beautiful divine beings. You are, I am, we all are. We've all come from a creator source. The trees, the flowers, the food we eat, everything. And just, we are learning to evolve in such magnificent ways. And so before I close, my cards that I've been showing the last few weeks. And these cards come from Eva Gillette. The Wisdom of the Heart cards, the little ones, they come from Bodhi Simpson and Eva. And then the Men at Magnificence, Magnify Your Magnificence, they come from Susan Howson and Mike Polito. And you can find them on Eva Gillette's website. Jaguar. Oh, I'll have to write it in the chat box, but it's Sacred Jaguar. Yeah, anyway, so let's just pick a card. And from the Wisdom of the Heart, we have got, I am learning and growing. And that's what we can do as human beings all the time. Don't you love it? Oh, we are learning and constantly growing. And now these cards, and we'll just pick one. Oh, somebody said a yellow. Okay, so let's pick a yellow one. And this one is, I am emotional. And it says, I share how I feel with others. And that is so important. It's important to share your feelings. Whether you're happy or sad, share that. And that's what you can do. I come from a generation where we were seen and not heard, and that's changing. So grateful for that we can share our feelings and express it with the people we live with, working with. And if we're living from a place of the ego isn't so involved, then people can accept those feelings and say, oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing. And it might mean the other person needs to shift in what they're doing or what they're saying. Yeah. Anyway, so thank you for listening. And you rise and shine and jumpstart your day and infuse some joy and happiness with whatever comes along. And blessings, my heart to yours. And remember, keep that immune system healthy. Lots and lots of vitamin D with K1. Vitamin K1 prevents the calcium from leaving the bones when you take your extra extra thousands of vitamin D, because that will help strengthen our immune system, which is what we need during these COVID times. All right, be well. Until next time, thank you.